You are watching and listening to Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube and your favourite podcasts.
Are you ready? I'm saying, are you ready?
Watch us on YouTube. Listen on your favourite podcast platform. Or ask your smart speaker to play the podcast Leicester Till I Die.
Right, Chris.
Alrighty. Oh, look, I'm small again. There I am. Take me Viagra. Good evening, good day, good morning, good afternoon, good night, goodbye, hello, wherever you are in the world. Welcome along. It's LTID TV from Leicester Till I Die. We're a little bit early this week, but we're doing the preview show tonight. We have got the second of the three promoted teams coming up this weekend. We didn't do so well against the last one, so fingers crossed for this. We live in hope. And it's Christmas almost upon us. Are you ready for that strange little man with a large belly and the long white beard to come down your chimney, fill your stockings and empty your sack in your living room? Well, if you are, then you've not got long to wait, 19 days. But this is the preview show, getting back to football, and we're just waiting for Brad to finish having a wang off in the green room, and we'll, I don't know, that's what his words. And we'll be talking to Aaron from Argyle Life as well. Here it is. How was your wang, Brad?
I know I shouldn't have told you that story beforehand, and I'll wait for some chance to explain that story later on. It's good as well as me, mate. Although my camera's not very good at the moment; it's been a bit dirty and blurry.
Fine. It's just your face.
Oh, okay, that explains everything. Then it's just my face. Problem solved.
Let's welcome our guest in. Unlike others, he has turned up, which is very nice of him. And we're going to say hello to Aaron. Hello, welcome to the madness, Aaron.
Hello, you're right.
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I seem to be developing some sort of cold, which isn't great, but
No. You're not developing a cold. You're getting man flu.
No, I don't come down with man flu, fortunately. I sort of get over it a bit more than most, but no, yeah, I'm good. Apart from that, I'm good. I'm looking forward to Saturday.
Yeah, well, welcome along. Welcome back to the championship. Not so long ago, you were pretty much a mainstay in the second tier, weren't you?
Yeah, I think we were longest. At one point, we were the longest serving club in the championship. I'm sure somebody will correct me there. And then I think Ipswich took that mantle after we went down. So, but we'd been there a while. I would say that sort of like League One level is historically our base level. But it's good to be back. It's good to be back in the championship and competing.
Yeah.
So,
and congratulations on winning League One last season. Highfields is in. Hello, Highfields. How are you? He said he'll be spending Christmas near Plymouth, which, to be honest with you might want to move, Aaron, because Highfields is on the what do they call it for the police, where they move you around and hide you away from people that are after you. Witness protection, that's it. Because every week he's from somewhere. He's coming from somewhere different. But look, let's welcome on Brad. I mean, first of all, we're playing Plymouth, and the disappointment for Brad. I'm sorry, Brad. Ginsters are no longer because he loves the Ginsters, does Brad, but they are no longer sponsors.
Well, at least I've seen sense in one sense of the world. Because look, as much as I love a Ginster steak bake and everything else, the pasty range they cannot do. It doesn't come close to a. And I've just offended every single Plymouth fan in the house.
You haven't. I can assure you haven't.
They should just quit while they're ahead. The steak bakes, everything else, keep them going, but leave the Cornish to the Cornish. Proper, let the shop makers make it. That's what I say. Anyone who's gone down to the south and had a proper pasty from a shop, they know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that several times. I mean, I can't remember the last time I had a Ginsters. But yeah, I mean, in terms of nostalgia and instant brand recognition, if you think of Argyle, you think of Ginsters. So. Yeah,
honestly, yeah. I think you have just upset everybody, Brad, in a green and white. But there we go. Doug is in. Hi, Doug. Scott, hi. How are you as well? Look, he's there. Aaron, you came up, as I say, last season as champions, and first of all, I'm now going to upset every Plymouth fan because I had you as one of the favourites for going down. I don't think you're going to necessarily get, you're obviously not going to get a promotion or anything like that. But I actually now look at it and think there's a lot worse teams than you in that division.
Yeah, you say about that though, but we're only, I think we're 6 points off the drop and 8 points off the playoffs. So it's not, it's not a million miles away. I mean, let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's not going to happen, but it could. I don't think anybody would have expected us to lift the title last season above. Ipswich Town and Sheffield Wednesday, and we did that as well. So don't write us off just yet. But no, I think survival is the aim, and that will be what we're looking to achieve. Anything above that dotted line, and I'm happy. But I know when you came on our pre-season preview podcast, I think you were the only person that came on our show and predicted us to go down. So. You're the only one that's wrong so far.
I'm doing very well in the prediction league, so panic not. Panic not. Brad's doing worse, I've got to say, but it's I'm not doing very well, so don't take my predictions as gospel. But look, I want to talk about Stephen Schumacher. He's obviously got you racing out of the blocks and, like I say, takes you good on corners. But how happy? Oh, sorry, I couldn't resist. How happy are you with him as your manager?
I wish we were good at corners. I think that's one of our major downfalls is set pieces. Although we're some would argue that we're getting slightly better at those. Stephen Schumacher is a godlike figure of a man in Plymouth. I think it'd be safe to say he's been in the news the last couple of days. Well, not the news, but he's shot up the betting odds to become Sunderland's next manager.
Oh,
I'm not sure how reliable. Obviously, betting odds aren't to be relied upon, but no. I'm not sure if there's anything in that. I feel like we would have heard something concrete by now about any form of approach. But yeah, so going back to Shuey himself, he's just I can't praise. I don't think I've ever been in love with a manager as much as I am with Stephen Schumacher. He is. He's just some bloke. He just gets the city. He's one of the first to move his whole family down to the southwest, which is massive for us. I feel like he gets us. I feel like he understands the fan base really well. He talks really well. He talks a good game. He's similar in a way to Holloway, who we may or may not do, in the fact that he says the right things and predominantly does the right things up until Holloway's last act as manager. But he's sort of galvanized the city, and it's not just him, but it's the boardroom and the backroom staff, and literally everybody down from the fitness coach to the chairman, all are all singing from the same hymn sheet, and it's just uniting the club as one. So, but Shuey deserves a lot of credit for obviously last season as well. And I think it was I can't remember how many it was. I think it was 26 or 27 points we won from losing positions last season, just purely from his tactical tweaks and substitutions. So one of the best up-and-coming managers in the EFL, without a doubt.
Well, fingers crossed that you can hold on to him. Hi to CB, who's popped in. Obviously, a Plymouth fan there. And Doug is channeling his inner Gokwan and is saying he likes your strips. I'm worried about that guy. He's Scottish. What can I say?
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. They are lovely this season.
Brad, he's always saying the right things. He came out with some interesting quotes, and I got to say, in a funny way, they were funny. I mean, I'll never forget he's going to tell his turkeys that Christmas is cancelled when he was talking to the World Cup being moved to December. Your thoughts on Plymouth?
I mean, minus getting sponsored by Ginks aside, they're actually a decent club. They had that long stay period in the Championship. They had some favourable players back in them days that I just enjoyed seeing them play. Also, over time, the most famous Argyle man out there, who's probably going to cause me trouble saying this, is Pie Face, the YouTuber. If anyone knows the YouTube, Pie Face is a huge Argyle fan, and I became a fan of his, and seeing him and knowing him being an Argyle fan. Aaron will probably correct me and say, no, he's the biggest YouTuber in Plymouth, and I should correct my statement on that one.
We're not actually on YouTube yet. We're trying to log into the account to get the
oh, well, you will be then. But no, yeah, well, there you go. Aaron's going to take the world by storm when he gets into his YouTube for Plymouth Argyle fans. But no, I've always had a bit of a soft spot for them. They're relatively close, I guess, to where my family is down south as well. My granddad, he's West Ham through and through, but he's always had a soft spot for the Argyle as well when he was around. So yeah, I hope we stuff them. But I hope they do stay up this season in the Championship. I think they've got the quality too. I think there is at least 4 teams worse than them easily this season.
Oh, I agree with that. I think there are worse teams, and what I love, and this is no disrespect to Plymouth, but there's some big teams in the Championship, and I still don't think of Leicester as a big team. I really, really don't, despite what we've managed to achieve over the past 9 seasons. And I love to see Luton in the Premier League. I loved it when Brentford went up, and I wish Plymouth all the best. And me predicting them to be in the bottom 3 come the end of the season was nothing personal. I really, really do hope that you'll stay up. CB says he's not a Leeds fan. Sorry, he's not a Plymouth fan. He's a Leeds fan, so he wants anybody that's playing Ipswich or Leicester. How's it going for you, Leeds? I mean, you said you were coming for us, mate, when you beat us. We're still waiting for you. You're still waiting for you. Christmas is going to come before Leeds come for Leicester. Oh, that started a discussion, hasn't it? But look, let's have a look at the league table. I'm going to be starting with saying, about how well Plymouth are doing. And like I say, no disrespect, they're doing better than I thought they would. How impressed have you been with Leicester this season, Aaron?
I can't say I've caught an awful lot of your games, but when I have, I've noticed that you're not, for the squad that you've got and the capabilities you've got, you don't seem to be blowing teams away. You're very tight at the back and you're nicking games 1 or 2-0. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like there's, apart from your recent efforts against Borough, which was sounded absolutely mad, but I feel like don't get me wrong, you're doing well enough. You can't be any higher than first.
No,
but I feel like there's an element of your lot that's just waiting to click into gear, and you'll start blowing teams away. As you've already mentioned, you struggled against, it was Wednesday, right?
Yes.
And like, if you can get into a position where you can start putting 3, 4, 5 past them, then you'll start running away with it. And to be honest, I think you're champions elect anyway, so there's nothing really to worry about. But it could. You're in that position where it could change if your defense start lapsing a little bit. So I'm just sort of waiting for you to click into gear and be this one of the best teams the Championship's ever seen, like visually, like you are on paper, but like I'm waiting to see that football.
Fair point, Brad. And I mean, if anybody, here comes the B&Q moment, shameless plug, as you would say. I'll pinch your saying this time. If you do check out the BBC website, the Leicester City page on the BBC, every Tuesday there's a section called Fans Voice. And I do say a 1-0 or a 4-1, which was probably our biggest win of the season over Southampton. We haven't done that often. 3 points are 3 points. You know, if you win 1-0 or 9-1, you still only get 3 points. That said, it felt so good on Saturday, didn't it, with that 94th minute winner?
Yeah, it did. It did feel really good. I think it was also needed because it suddenly, I wouldn't say glosses over, but it definitely makes the last, you look at us now on our last 3 results and we've got 7 points out of 9. I know we probably would have, you would have, if you were thinking where we'd draw, it wouldn't be at Sheffield, it probably would have been the Baggies game. So to do it against still technically the meanest defence in the Championship, in the last 7 or 8 games, they've become that sort of team, haven't they? So to do that is the way going. And see, I think sometimes we get lured into thinking that you have to blow teams away 3-4, 5-0 every week to be classed a ruthless Championship side. And I do get what Aaron's saying, but to me, everybody's banging on about, well, not so much now because they're struggling, but everybody was banging on about Burnley last season, how they kind of strutted towards it near the end. They were firing in them goals and they were doing it with swagger, and everybody was like, wow, what they're going to do in the Premier League. Well, it took them about 18 games to really get started on any form of run. I know we're having a bit of a stuttering patch, and we're not stomping people out. We've had a few good 4-1ers here and there between some stronger teams, which is probably showing where we show our best football. But also, we're well ahead of Burnley and probably anybody right now that's been classed as one of the best Championship title winners going, i.e. 100 points or 90 points winners. So, yeah, be scary for oppositions if we do get to that level. I think the Championship should be hoping Leicester keep winning by the odd goal instead of actually kicking into 3-goal territory margins of wins.
We did win the Premier League, winning most games 1-0. So,
true.
But look, I mean, Plymouth there, Aaron. I mean, you're in 16th position. You've played 18. I mean, you've won 50%. You've got a plus goal difference. Is consistency a problem for you this season?
I wouldn't say so. I would say that if anything, we've been annoyingly consistent in the fact that we can't put good performances. We can't convert really good performances into points. I think actually we should be on performances alone. We should be slightly higher in the table, but obviously, the points are what win you prizes ultimately. So. And that goes to show with the plus goal difference that we're doing something right. We're only 10 behind you and 15 places apart. So although the plus 10 is huge, but I think if you look around the teams around us as well, like that goal difference is like an extra 3 points at the moment, and it feels like we can. I don't want to say outscore opponents, but when we play against teams that are very open. We can go toe to toe with them, and we can outscore them. There's been a few occasions where there was sort of like a run of 3 games against Bristol City, Millwall, and Swansea, where we sort of just we felt like, oh, this is it. We're in the Championship now. We just didn't play to the level that we played all season, and we're back to that now. So. Yeah, I think we're okay. There's no complaints in terms of performance, and there's no complaints in terms of attacking displays at the moment. We just and we seem to be pretty ruthless. We're converting chances that we have really well. So I expect if we get one or two chances up at your place, we might take them. So
you've had some good results. I mean, you did what we couldn't do, and you beat Sheffield Wednesday very comfortably by the look of it, 3-0. You nearly got something at Ipswich, which would have been a great result for you.
Oh, we should have. We should have. There's an absolutely outrageous challenge. Last man, Mustafa Bundy's through on goal, and he just swipes his back leg and gets away with it. Not even a foul, apparently, which would have put us 2-0 up. So, yeah, I mean, we should have. We should have got that one.
Well, don't complain about the referees, because if you do get at any point go up another division, you'll have the joy of VAR. We are loving not having VAR, aren't we, Brad? But look, I've got to ask about the Norwich game. I mean, none of us I don't think anybody got any points on that prediction. 6-2, you blew them away. I mean, that must be your performance of the season.
I would argue it isn't. I would argue that's one of our. Well, I don't want to say bang average performances, but that's sort of the median when it comes to our actual performances. Like that one was just that we came up against a Norwich side that just could not defend. Like they gave us 8 chances and we took 6 of them. Our performances have been similar to that game pretty much every week, bar the 3 that I've already mentioned. So. And even up at Leeds, we played second half. We played similar to that as well. And it's to blow an established. I don't want to say an established championship side, because obviously Norwich have been Premier League recently. But to blow away a team like that after nicking their best young talent for £1 million, and then to blow them away 6-2, that's just phenomenal. That's one of those days that we're like, we're back in the championship, and how good is this? I don't think anybody expected that. Like, going into the game, I was very much on the case of, if we keep it under 2-0, I'm happy. And everything just clicked. Everything just clicked really well. And Norwich, I'm surprised to see them resurgent against it somewhat, to be honest, because they have been dire.
Brad, we mentioned the Sheffield Wednesday game earlier. I've got to come back to it. Unfortunately, we said before, that game, that Leicester being Leicester, that this was a potential banana skin, and it was very, very much so. It's a bit of that sort of a feeling about this game, and no disrespect to Plymouth, but when you look, I mean, the 3 that come down are probably normally the 3 favourites to go back up. And it's to a point, it's almost a little bit the same with the 3 that come up, but the other way. But on paper, you would say a relegated side should be beating a promoted side from League One. I'm worried about this game.
Yeah, I think there's every reason to be worried about it. First of all, I think in any other season they wouldn't have Ipswich showing them up as a newly promoted side doing so well, because on paper Plymouth are exceeding their own expectations. Just as you say, the Premier League relegated sides are the expectations to go first up. Well, there's 4 relegation spots, is there not, in the Championship, or is it 3? So 3. So you'd look at that and go, well, Plymouth, Ipswich, Sheffield Wednesday, straight nailed on return ticket. And maybe in an occasion some odds or elsewhere might pick one and say, no, they'll just stay up, we're going to put someone else in that bracket. But usually the outcome is, oh, well done getting up here, but the first thing we're thinking is you're going to go straight back down. And I think, like I said, if Ipswich weren't having such a wonderful season that they're having for themselves, you'd be looking at Plymouth going, yeah, they're doing really well. They're not struggling. They're not behind the 8 ball as some teams might be, are in this situation. And look, we've seen throughout the results this season that it's not easy to play these bottom half sides, newly promoted or championship regulars, if you will. Ipswich, Leeds, notably couldn't beat Rotherham. Well, we managed to do that. And then you look at Sheffield Wednesday's upturn in form. That they've gone on helped not just themselves, but a certain predictor up to some smug points on the board for that one, because I got laughed out of the building for predicting Sheffield Wednesday to beat Birmingham. Just saying, Chris. Just saying. You didn't clip it and post that one on there, did you? Though I don't know. But yeah. So you never know. You never know what's up for it, and the expectation Leicester don't handle that well. I've been supporting since the early 90s, Chris, and all I've known Leicester is the tag that follows Leicester is underdog. So when we're the favourites, it seems to be when we don't always come together. So yeah, I am a little bit worried, I have to admit myself.
You're still a baby. When you've been supporting them since the 70s, like myself, the word that usually follows, it's not Leicester City, it's Leicester roller coaster, because that's the sort of ride it is following us. And a point you made earlier, Aaron, which was a good point, is that we're not rolling many teams over. I think the 4-1 win against Southampton was our biggest. It was away from home. But when we were at home, a lot of teams are coming to us and literally parking the bus. And as much, no matter how good you are, if every time you go forward, you've got 11 players, defending, it is hard to break down. And, all we can do is literally what we do, which is tire them out. And then eventually, hopefully, they make a silly mistake and we'll nick a goal and still get the 3 points. But that's the problem. Is that the way Plymouth, you think, will come to the game? I mean, when Leeds came to us, and in fairness, CB, that's in the Leeds fan, when they came, they didn't. They did exactly the opposite. They came at us and gave us, well, we lost, but it was our toughest game. How are Plymouth going to face this game?
I can pretty much assure you that we will not do that. We will not park the bus. We won't sit in. Pretty much. I don't know. I can't confirm that. I don't have any inside knowledge. But we played Leeds and we didn't sit 11 in. And we've played most of the top 9 now, and not done that. I mean, West Brom might be the only one where you could maybe suggest that we played defensively, but we still didn't sit 11 in. We did well to nick a 0-0 draw there. When you add in the caveat that we have not won a Saturday 3 p.m. away game since October 2022, so over a year.
Sorry, getting me excited.
Yeah. It's not looking good for us, and we will give you space to play, and it just depends on whether one or two of our midfield pivots are having a good game. We've got a brilliant centre back who we signed on a free, Lewis Gibson. He was previously of Everton. They signed him for $6 million, if rumours are to be believed. He is fantastic, and basically we're going to be expecting a few of our major players to step up on Saturday. I don't expect us to sit in, but I expect us to have a defensive mentality in which we give away niggly fouls and we stop the tempo and we quiet you that way rather than 11 men in the box, basically. And basically our midfielders will be made to work and work hard. Hopefully, I can see us as well setting up with going back to the back 5 or a back 3, sorry, but with wing backs that might sit slightly deeper. So it's not a case of parking the bus, but it's defensive mode first and then trying to hit you on the break if we can.
Now, Brad, that makes me happy actually, because I think if Plymouth do give us space, then I think that could be the downfall. How do you think Maresca's gonna tackle this game?
I don't think we'll see too much difference in it. If that's his understanding of how Plymouth are going to go with how Aaron said that they're potentially going to go about the game, I think he's probably then more inclined to, because Leicester have dealt with that all season. We've seen how it's worked for other teams. Rotherham played for the draw. They got beat. Bristol City came for nothing, a 0-0, and they got beat. QPR was a bit more of a struggle, admittedly, and obviously going down to 10-man help, but they tried to do the same. They tried to strangle us, and it didn't really work. And And actually, some of the bigger teams we've beat have tried to sit behind the ball, come at us, and they've got beat even bigger. So I think the confidence will be there. I think it does, strangely enough, it plays more into our hands because we like to have a lot of time on the ball. We don't just pass it around quickly, but we like to have the ball at our feet a lot, and we like to take control of the situation and dictate the play, and we drag you around the pitch and not the other way around, sort of thing. And if that's how they go, from what I can gather from Enzo and his tactics this season, especially if they go with the three at the back, I think you'll see the likes of Iheanacho and McAteer, because they'll add extra bodies into his midfield and allow him to kind of break through them lines, if you will. So that'll be the personnel side of things I can see changing. But I'm very happy for Plymouth to try and wait for a chance to kind of counter us, because that's when we kind of spring our trap. We kind of wait for you to blink first, thinking you're in, and then we nick the ball off you as you go high line, and we've got 5 or 6 bodies going forward. So you're probably, the sounds of things, as much as it makes sense up there to kind of hold your horses a little bit, you're playing top of the league. For a few bad results we've had this season, I don't mean that in a smuggish way. It is what it is. I mean, 2 defeats and 3 defeats and a draw. It's probably better to come at us quicker, because you don't allow us that time on the ball. I mean, Chris, how many times has your love child, Yannick Vestergaard, should I say, been sat there like he could have twiddled his thumbs, got out a deck of cards, he's had that long on the ball, and he's literally stopped because he's going that slow?
Yeah, I mean, there's a thing, isn't there, these days called walking football. I think if Yannick Vestergaard ever decides to take that up, he would be the absolute, he would kill it. He really would. Absolutely. He gets hold of the ball. And it's almost like Aaron, and I say, in fairness, you've not seen a lot of us, and I appreciate that totally. But Yannick, who up until this season everybody hated him as a Leicester fan. He was bought. He didn't fit into the previous manager's plan. So why he bought him, we still don't know. But Marquesa, he fits perfectly, and he's now up for. He's in the top 4 for the players, the fans' player of the year. And he will stand on the ball, and he will just sort of say, basically, come and get it. If you want it, come and get it, which obviously then releases players to go down either side. Defensively, I mean, you said earlier, I mean, you've not, I'm just looking here for Plymouth. I mean, you've conceded, where are we here? Goal difference 2. I mean, you've scored a lot, but you've almost let in as many. Is the defence a problem for you?
I wouldn't say a problem. I think it's a case of we allow we sort of allow teams to play so that we can play our game too, if that makes sense. So we offer space. We offer the opponent space because we know that they'll return that favour by moving, basically. Yeah. But when you look at, we've played the top 10, the whole top 10 apart from yourselves. Ipswich away, lost by 1 goal. Leeds lost by 1 goal. Southampton lost 95th minute equaliser, in which Shea Adams celebrated like he won the World Cup. West Brom, we got a 0-0 draw. Hull, we lost by 1 goal. Blackburn, we beat. Preston lost by, did we lose that one by 1? 1. Sunderland, we just beat. Watford, we drew 0-0. So most of the goals we've conceded have come from teams 12th and below. So when we switch to that like slightly more defensive minded style, then we're normally okay. So if you said we could go to Leeds and we'd only lose by 1, I think we'd have all taken that when we were predicting 3, 4, 5, 6-0 defeats on our pod. I think to when you look at it over the season as a whole, like those numbers add up. Of course they do, but if you look at them as individual performances, that we're just like a few simple decisions away from clicking and actually being quite a solid defensive unit as well. our wing, but when we do play with wing backs, our wing backs often like to occasionally switch off, which doesn't help in Kane Keslane and Ballymumba. But when we bring in those more experienced heads like Brendan Galloway's now back from injury, and Joe Edwards, they're sort of slightly more defensively minded, and they do shore us up. So I think, like I said, we're making those slight tweaks to become slightly more defensive against yourself, but not in a way in which we sit 11 men behind the ball.
Who should we be looking out for then in green and white on Saturday?
I think the most obvious answer is of course Morgan Whittaker, a right. I want to say like inside forward. He's not a striker and he's not a right winger, but he plays that inside forward role. He's not a 10 either, so floats about over there a bit. He is phenomenal. We're signing for £1 million from Swansea City, which is an absolute steal. He is destined to play Premier League football, and I hope that he shows that against sides like yourself to show that he can cut it if somebody takes that opportunity and takes him up a league. If not, I hope he stays with us for quite some time and takes us there himself. He's absolutely brilliant. He's I don't want to say greedy, but he likes to take a chance. He likes to he likes to take an opportunity when it comes to him, and more often than not this season they're starting to go in a lot more. So absolutely phenomenal player. Apart from him, I think somebody else that needs a good shout out is Jordan Houghton. Didn't have a brilliant game on Saturday against Stoke, but he has improved tenfold in the Championship. Absolutely, I don't want to say CDM, but he plays in that sort of like more defensively minded centre mid role, and he's been brilliant this season in terms of breaking teams down, and then almost laying the ball off for our more creative players alongside him. Messrs Kundal and Finn Azaz. And then the third one I would say is Finn Azaz, who him, Morgan and Bally, if they can really get on the ball. And then we've got Mustafa Bundu up top, who is also waiting to be properly unleashed. He's got a few minutes under his belt now, and we know what he's about. So hopefully he can have a proper run. I feel like he'll start on Saturday over Ryan Hardy. I feel like we've got the pace there on the break, and we've got not just the pace, but the control and the agility to maybe get at Vestergaard if we target him. He sounds like the slowest of the bunch. If we can target him. I think
if you've got a Schumacher, we've probably got a very, very old Damon Hill in the back four. Scott is asking there, Aaron, would you say Plymouth are a more open play type of team, and that's why you concede so much?
Yeah, again, I wouldn't say that we've conceded so much when you compare, especially when you compare our budget to those in the league. We have got the lowest budget, if not the second lowest in the league. I would say that we are open, and we like it when other teams are open. Hence that Norwich game, 8 goals in that game, 2 of which came for Norwich. That was purely from us when we were 4-0 up, still trying to get more goals, because it would be very Argyle to lose it from 4-0 up, or at least draw that. So we don't take the foot off the pedal. I think that's why we are. And again, I wouldn't say we're conceding too many. I would say that we are. It's a byproduct of the way we play football, and we know that we can try our best to outscore teams, but that hasn't happened as much as we'd like, but enough.
Brad, we kind of know what the starting team is going to be on Saturday. We probably know what 9 of the 11 starting players are going to be on Saturday. First question, Ricardo's out. Collected a what looked to be a stupid yellow card against West Brom, but look, he misses the game. Are we going to see Chowdhury coming in, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it was so stupid because he didn't commit. He wasn't booked for a foul or anything like that. he talked himself into the suspension. Well, the yellow card, which led to the suspension anyway, didn't he? So it was just more frustration. But yeah, for me, it's a simple case of like for like. A position that at the start of the season we had too many of, and I think we overloaned and over got rid of. Maybe is a bit commission. It's not his natural position, but he's played there more than enough times to say it's more comfortable than anyone else we could put there. I know we could put Justin there, but it'd leave us completely overawed on the left side.
Although that didn't really work out very well, did it?
No, it didn't. Ask Sheffield Wednesday how well it worked out for them. We a better team maybe would have won that game. We said that. I think if we'd have been playing Plymouth on that occasion, they would have definitely been better to have beaten us the way we played with Cody on the left and a 3 at the back system. So you want to keep Justin on the left. So I think Chowder is the only obvious, the enforced change, if you will, that you'd put it right back for that role.
Now I'm not saying this, Brad, so do not hold this against me here, because I know if Vestergaard's my love child, we all know who yours is. But your best friend at Leicestershire Live, Jordan Blackwell, Kelechi Iheanacho nears dangerous territory after telling moment, but there is a solution. The Leicester City striker is performing below expectation at the moment and has not scored in his last 6 championship appearances, causing groans of frustration. It's going to be Vardy starting on Saturday, isn't it?
I don't think it will be. First of all, Jordan speaks nonsense. If you don't believe me, check his ratings out. The guy hits his head after he speaks. I swear.
Jordan, by the way, Aaron, is the lead writer for the local rag. So
yeah. The only man that could praise everybody in his comments and then gives them a rating of like 4 is Anyway, but the less said about him, the better.
Person. I think he criticised Kelechi Iheanacho once, and Brad's never forgiven him.
Well, that might have had something to do with it, but he's proved me right ever since, to be honest with you. So I was in my rights there to not like that. And the only reason I say I think it's actually going to be Iheanacho that starts this game purely has to do on what I said earlier about what Aaron said, how they were going to approach us this game. Enzo will, if they line up with the intent of packing that midfield and trying to win the ball in and around the middle and then spring an attack high up, playing that high line that Leicester do tend to do when teams play like that, because teams sitting back off us allow us to play that high line, like Vestergaard and Faze or Cody, whoever's with him. They tend to be in and around the halfway line. I mean, granted, sometimes so he's a Madsen, but that's off his own little. I think he just goes on a wander every so often. I think he's a bit eccentric sometimes with where he likes to stand. But what Iheanacho does, the way he plays compared to Vardy, because to get the best out of Vardy, let's face it, Chris, to utilise him now as well, the ball, he still sits on in between them two strikers and that midfielder, waiting for the ball to get to him and play it through. And if you're not really going to be able to get the best out of Jamie Vardy if he's having to try and muscle through five or six players, where Iheanacho drags them two midfielders with him by coming deep to receive the ball. And I think the way Leicester will try and utilise the way Iheanacho is as a striker, that will allow them to instantly be on the numerical advantage on any potential quick breakaway that Leicester can do if they can break up Plymouth in the middle early. So that's purely why I go for Iheanacho over Vardy. It just makes more sense with given what types of strikers both of them are, if that's how Plymouth are going to go for us.
Is this the game that we see Tom Cannon finally? Well, we get to see him full start. I mean, I know Kate talking on the debate show on Monday night wanted to know if he was big or small. I think that was regarding his stature, but you never know with Kate. But are we going to see Tom Canning finally get some minutes this week?
No, sadly I don't. Unless and I mean this is a great disrespect here, Aaron, unless we go and stomp Plymouth 4-0 in like the 60th minute and it's 4-0 by that time, I just don't see how he's putting him on. We've asked for it. Sheffield Wednesday should have come on. None of the strikers were any good. Vardy didn't really do anything against his boyhood club. Should have put him on. You know, you can't really put him on against West Brom when the game's so playing the way it was. There was no chance to get him on. So if we're 1-0 up or 2-1 up or even, worse than that, we're not even winning the game, we're 1-0. Are we really going to put an untried, tested talent on? Enzo doesn't seem to want to. I honestly don't think we'll see him till the FA Cup game against Millwall, Chris, to be honest with you. I'm losing faith in Enzo actually giving him a chance. So, yeah, unless we get into a position... so it's 7 million we paid for him from Everton. So you'd start to think with our other strikers who haven't kicked a ball for us yet is Daka. We need to start seeing him play because we'll lose Iheanacho either permanently if he doesn't sign a new contract, or at least we're losing him to the African Cup of Nations. So I'd love to say, Chris, that he's going to play, but like I said, unless we turn Plymouth over and we do it 60, 70 minutes into the game and it's dead and buried, Enzo just doesn't seem to want to trust him to go out there and to turn a game on its head if necessary.
No,
I think that highlights the difference. That highlights the differences between our squads in the fact that you've got a £7-8 million striker on the bench or in the reserves that you're not willing to use, and we broke our record transfer fee this summer for £1 million. So, and he's a first name, or they're both the first names on the team sheets near enough every week. So I think some perspective on this weekend. If you are 4-0 up and Tom Cannon does come off the bench, I think that's a very good perspective on Saturday.
I think we have to remember, because a lot of teams when we came down looked at us and went, "Oh, here they go," and the way we were spending with the Man City of the Championship. And I think, just in fairness, we should sort of say, and we're going to have a couple of comments from some Plymouth fans here, that we didn't spend last season because of the FFP, because we actually tried to stay within the rules, unlike Everton, Man City, and a few other clubs. Oh, did I say that out loud? And we then sold.
On the other hand, though, compared to, I appreciate that Everton's recklessness or whatever would have meant that you stayed up, etc. If they took their points deduction last season. There's two ways of looking at this from an outsider view. One, the relegation was very good for you in the fact that it allowed you to reset, get some confidence back. Yeah. And the other half is that when you look at teams like that have I don't want to say financial mismanagement when it comes to yourselves, but the fact that, like we've just been speaking about Tom Cannon, you've got a £7 million striker that you basically bought so that Preston or Watford or whoever wanted him couldn't have him. Basically, that seems to be the way, right? If you're not using him, or as cover for AFCON, you know, when you compare like the gulf between those coming down and those coming up, especially, like,
it's absolutely huge. And in fairness, that's probably one of the reasons that I had you as low as I did. But we should also say that, we sold two players for nearly 80 million, which, we haven't spent that by any stretch of the imagination. And we actually let go, although you say let go stroke end of contract, more players than we actually brought in. So, people will look at it and go, well, you spend all this money.
That's what I mean in the fact that it was brilliant for you, right? In the fact that it allowed you to reset, it allowed you to go again, it allowed you to get rid of the dead wood that you don't want around the club, and bring in players that do, like you brought in some Premier League standard players there in Connor Cody, Winks, etc., on top of the likes of Wilfred Ndidi and Kieran Dewsbury Hall, and you've got Jamie Vardy, Kelechi Iheanacho. So I think actually it's a good thing for you overall. I wouldn't worry about Everton too much.
No, definitely. And hindsight's a wonderful thing. Had we stayed up, Brad, I don't think we'd be looking at a team that we're looking at now. We'd have probably tried to hold on to a few players because of the Premier League experience, as Aaron said there. Like we went down to League One, it was a reset, and sometimes you need to take a step back to take a couple forward.
Yeah, you do. And I think, sometimes you feel like it's the footballing gods, if you want to coin the phrase, telling you that this is what you need to do, because we probably missed up. We were probably so fearful of keeping hold and not losing any of the players that had helped us achieve what we what we'd been achieving, i.e., the top 5 finishes, the Europa semi-final against Rome, winning the FA Cup. That core of the squad, we were so fearful of either losing or accepting the fact that we were eventually going to have to churn these players out and churn new players in, that I'm inclined to agree that had we stayed up, it probably would have just dragged out the inevitable, unless, because you don't know, a manager could have come in. Would it have been Enzo that be a manager? Who knows? Would Dean Smith have been given the job? You probably would have said yes, because he'd been looked at as the guy who kept us up, whether it was through technicalities or not. You don't know.
That's itself, right? The relegation gets rid of Dean Smith.
Well, there is that. You then look at the pros and cons of it, don't you? Would Ian Atcher and Wilfred Ndidi have been sold, or would they have been more inclined to sign a new contract because they're still Premier League and they're thinking their options under this new manager are going to improve, especially if it was to be Enzo? I would say that maybe in a panic or a situation of wanting to rebuild, had we lost Maddison and Barnes still, we may have still looked towards Cody and Winks, because I think they'd have still been in the Leicester mantra, cheap but experienced replacements for what we're losing. So some things might have happened, but yeah, it's sometimes you just need bad to happen for the good times to return, don't you?
Former Leicester City boss Dean Smith in contention for new job. The headlines tonight. He's been linked with Major League side Charlotte FC, which of course where Christian Fuchs is. So he may be going. When I saw the headline, I thought, oh, Sunderland possibly, but no. But let's say hello to a few Plymouth fans. Nice to have you in, guys. Tough game for us Saturday, Aaron, but you never know what Argyle will do. We're so unpredictable this season. Tyler, hello to you again. You're welcome. There's nothing more Argyle than pulling off an upset against teams higher in the league. The worrying thing about that, Tyler, is there's nothing more Leicester than struggling against teams that are doing sort of the bottom half. No disrespect.
Yeah, and like I said, when you throw in that stat that we haven't won a Saturday 3 p.m. away from home since October last year, it's almost written on the cards. And in that time we won the league title with 101 points. So, it's basically written on the cards. 1-0 Mustafa Bundu away win up at the King Power.
Can I just say it is absolutely just lovely to have 3 p.m. Saturday kickoffs again occasionally. That's nice to have that back. Look, that's your season so far. Would you have taken that at this stage, Aaron? You probably would have done, wouldn't you?
Oh, absolutely. 4th from bottom. I'm happy. We'll take that every day. It's literally the case of staying up and building. Year on year progression has been pretty much the process under Simon Hallett's stewardship of the club, and I don't see that changing. If we stay up this year, 4th from bottom, and the year after we're 5th from bottom, the year after we're 6th from bottom, I'm happy. It's that continuous year on year progression to becoming a self-sustainable championship club. I know that we've launched a new 5-year plan recently in which we said that we're going to become a championship club with Premier League aspirations, but I think that there's a few more quid needed for that just yet. So I think let's not run before we can walk, and just let's stay up. Even if we stay up by a point on the final day, I don't care as long as we stay up.
Well, if we go back, I think 10. I don't think it's 11. I think 10 seasons. We were happy just to stay up, and we would have been happy with sort of 16th the season after. We went on and won the damn thing. So dreams can come true. And I mean, do you remember that season much? I mean, one of the things I like about that is that teams from all over the country, fans from teams from all over the country, wanted us to do it because, again, we were the underdog, and like I said, that's how I still see us as a smallish team. But does it give you, as a fan of somebody like Plymouth, hope of what you can achieve?
Yeah, well, I think still there are huge disparities in the fact that I appreciate your squad weren't the best in the league at the point on paper, but there are still huge disparities between our current ownership and your then ownership. I assume that the same family, it's still the same family that own you, right?
Still the same family.
Yeah. So I mean, there's still huge disparities in money, but you know, when you consider that we helped send you down to League One that season under Holloway, you know, our fortunes have been slightly different since then.
And don't pretend, Brad. Don't pretend. Just do it.
Just to be back in the same division is huge for us. So again, I think it's all about walking before we can run. And yes, as much as I would love a season or two in the Premier League, there are also things about the Premier League that make me despise football. And as you said, you know, you don't get Saturday 3 p.m. You get VAR chucked in. You get the so-called Big Six, by the time we're there, the Big 12 kicking off about everything. So it's just you know, the Championship is the best league in the world, isn't it? So let's not wish to be out of it yet. Although that being said, I'm absolutely not.
Very good friend on here who's a Burnley fan, Dan from Turf Moorhouse TV, and I always say, let's be careful what you wish for. Look at them, as Brad said earlier, and last season, and then compare it to this season. But he said when we got relegated, he said, look, you know, I know it's not good, but you'll love your football again. And whilst there was no, you couldn't say our last minute goal against Watford was offside or there was any problems at all. The fact that when that ball hit the back of the net, we could just celebrate and we didn't have to wait 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, however many minutes. Well, they looked at it from 30 different angles and drew pretty coloured lines in. That is what I love. That is what I love. Brad, looking at recent form, and I've actually changed it talking about resets. I've had a reset because normally I do the last 6 games when we're looking at this. But because it's easy for me to cut and copy and paste rather than having to type everything out, I've gone for the last 5 because I'm a lazy sod, basically. And I got fed up with having to type it all different every week. On the last 5 games, I mean, all right, we're 13th in the form table. Plymouth the 12th. We both got 7 points, but look at the form; it is very, very similar. We've scored, and we've scored 5 goals and conceded.
I think you'll actually find we're above you on recent form, actually. So it's not that similar. We are better than you.
Yeah, 12. Yeah, it's only by 1 place now. Come on, don't.
Still better than you. Still better. We've got to take these wins while we can. We're better than the champions elect.
What did they say about Sarri?
You know what? I suddenly don't like you, Aaron. All of a sudden, get very smug there. We smash you 5-0 now.
We spent all of last season being told that we weren't as good as Ipswich, who were in second. So if we're behind you by a point or a place or even 1 goal on the form table, I'm gonna take that win while I can, because trust me, come Saturday night, I won't be laughing.
Yeah, no, fair play. But that might be as good as your season gets. I won't remind you of that. That won't be clipped and saved. Don't worry. But yeah, looking at that, when we were both 1-2, Brad lost 2, drawn 1. We scored 5 whilst conceding 4. Plymouth has scored 8 whilst conceding 7. Games where both teams have scored, only 2 for us. They're Plymouth 3. It's going to be 0-0 last game on the Championship show, isn't it?
I bloody hope not. I really do, because not only, I know we've experienced a draw, but not only have we not experienced it, I really don't want this game to be the case. For us, I think we need to break free of the shackles a little bit. I think we need to have a performance, because it has been a while since we've had a performance where the score lines looked a lot more stressful. You know, I'd like to think that it's going to be goals galore for the home side, especially after Aaron's comments there, bigging up being ahead on the form guide. Go back to 6, Chris. See if it puts us above them. Go on.
All I'll do. Let me just bring up the league table.
Oh, what a chime!
Oh yeah, but we're not on that one, so you must have got the wrong one.
Yeah. You are on that one. You wouldn't fit on the graphic.
No, that's very true. It's very true.
Oh, 15-0. 15-0. Scott says here, Aaron, you say you would like to win the Premier League. However, do you have the stadium capacity infrastructure to be able to do so? I would tend to say, from what I know, compared to somebody like Luton, yes, you have.
I think you've misconstrued my comments there. I said I'd like it for a season or two, but I wouldn't like it overall. I think actually the aim would be one season in the Europa Conference League, so we can go to like Latvia and places like that just for the group stage.
Hey, don't got the Conference League. We got 30.
That's where I want to be. That's where I want to be. So that'll be good. But yeah, I think in terms of stadium capacity and stuff, it's a long running conversation that we're having because we're starting to sell out. Or I say starting, the last few seasons we've sold out every week. So there are ongoing discussions constantly within the fan base about extending that, and there's room to extend it. So I feel like if we were ever in a position to be near the Premier League, then stadium capacity isn't really an issue. We're not boxed in at all. We own the land. We own quite a bit of land around it as well now. So I believe we own the massive car park. So it's I think in terms of stadium capacity and etc., I don't think we're in too much of a worry about that. But let's worry about pushing up the championship table first, or staying up first and then pushing it up at second before we start dreaming of 35,000, 40,000 seat stadiums.
Now that we've been stabbed in the back by our guest, Brad, let's talk about the table. I jest, of course. Still top. We've still won more games than anybody else. We can't seem to draw it unless we call apart from Sheffield Wednesday. We've scored the second highest goals after Ipswich. We've conceded less goals than anybody else in the division. Got the biggest goal difference. But every time we seem to stutter, and Ipswich and Leeds have a chance to sort of Leeds catch up with us, Ipswich take over, they seem to stutter as well, don't they?
Yeah, and it just probably pays extra compliment to Leicester, really, because look, we've had our frustrating period. We lost 2 on the bounce. We had that niggly draw, which in turn over, like I said, over the results either side of it, it's actually become a positive point in a very strange way. We had a little niggled over them 2 defeats to Leeds and Middlesbrough, but like you said, it pays in good stead to our early season form of grinding out them results, Chris. Remember when people were moaning that we were only beating Rotherham 2-1 and we were only beating Cardiff 2-1 and we were only beating Huddersfield 1-0.
She wasn't there.
She wouldn't. At least not for the Rotherham game. She might have been there for elsewhere, but not for Rotherham. We know that much. But no, all them bemoanings, and then we've had a bit of a reality check, haven't we? Because all of a sudden we're kind of going, oh yeah, we might have lost 2 on the bounce, but we're still top of the league by a good way, and it's proving how difficult it is to not only maintain that, Chris, like Leicester have 3 defeats. I mean, if you said in our first 20 games we'd win 15 of them. And that's been the biggest difference between Leicester and anyone else this season. It was something up until that Sheffield Wednesday game. I was saying it was working for Leicester. Was we were either living or dying by the sword, and 15 out of 20 tells you how many times we won by that sword. And whereas other teams haven't been able to do that as well as us this season. So yeah, we keep stubbing our toe, they keep falling over. So I'll keep that going for us this season. I'll enjoy that.
Well, it's going to be the fun part of the show now because we're going to try and predict the scores. I can guess there's going to be some interesting ones in a minute. We'll do that straight after this.
The TalkSport Fan Network is the ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts,
including Leicester Till I Die, independent analysis and reaction for the Foxes faithful.
The TalkSport Fan Network.
Unbeatable club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Follow the podcast on the TalkSport Fan Network.
Indeed, make sure you do that. And of course, also remember to check out the BBC LCFC football page, especially on a Tuesday afternoon. I'm on there. Right, score predictions. That's the last plug, I promise you. Let's go to our guest first and put the pressure on him. Aaron, would you be happy with coming away with a point, or are you going to say you're going to get the all three?
I'd be happy with a personalised TalkSport introduction. We haven't got ours yet, so I'll be pressing them in the morning for ours.
Did they not email it to you?
But I'll give them an email. I'm impressed with yours. I'm hoping that we can get ours in the post.
They'll do it.
Maybe it's in the post. Maybe that's fine.
If you want a personalised one, just ask for it. So
yeah, no, I will. Back to the actual question. I think I've got to be confident because of the things we've already stated, right? It would be stereotypical Leicester to lose to us, and it would be stereotypical Argyle to go over 12 months, over 14 months of not winning away, to get away on a Saturday 3 p.m. to finally rock up to the King Power, the champions elect, and nick 3 points. That being said, there's a head and heart prediction here, right? Head says most probably a 2-0 loss, and the heart says, why not? Why can't we go and do it? And why can't we get a 2-1 or a 3-1 pushing the boat out? So let's say 2-1 heart and then 2-0 defeat head, if that's allowed.
You got to go for your heart.
All right, 2-1 win. 2-1 win. Heart over head every day of the week. 2-1 win.
2-1 win. Brad, I'm sure you're not going to take that sitting down.
No, let me just chalk down another goal for us on Saturday now. Thanks to that. No, fair play to him. You got to back your own team. You got to. We say there's no point in the players being scared of anybody, and that probably notably applies to our opposition most weeks, doesn't it? I can't imagine there might be a few teams that don't fear us anyway, or have a bad feeling when they play us. But I can assure, Plymouth that they'll be up for it because, like Aaron said, they beat the champions elect, or that's what we're being called by other supporters, at least, and a few of our own. It's a very good mark on their record for the season, especially if they go and stay up. You want to talk about memorable games. You'd be like, oh yeah, Leicester. That's the season Leicester ran away with the division. Yeah, I'm playing devil's advocate and hypotheticals here, but if you're one of them teams who goes, yeah, but they couldn't beat us. Remember when we went to the King Power? Stuff them, they were easy. If they're going, you beat us 2-0, 3-0, 3-1, or whatever. So I can understand why you back your team. And fair play to you, mate, because some people bottle it on here, don't they? They do a Spurs, as we call it on this channel, and they kind of back us to win. They probably go with their brains.
If it was one of the others that jump on our pod, they've all predicted defeats. If I remember rightly, I'll get called up on it if I haven't. But I believe that they've all predicted defeat. So I have to be positive, don't I?
Well, there you go then. Well, I saved this one because I had to fill in for Craig, who usually does the preview shows for us. So, and I run the predictions league. Now, I haven't given mine in, so this is not concrete. Nor has Chris. That will be done on the Friday night show. So join us for that as well. Neither of us are doing well, but Chris is doing better than me. So I'm going to go wild for this prediction and then put my brain on for the actual league predictions. I want to see it happen, Chris. I want to see Ian Acho bag a couple. I want to see Tom Cameron come on because we're an easy street, and I want to see Leicester realistically. I want Leicester to win 5-0. So I really want Leicester to turn the heat on, and that's just for the sin of gangsters, okay? That's just for the sin of gangsters. If it was for the comments, I'd be saying 7-8-0 Leicester, but because I don't have to get
to that now, that is
I'm not. I've run the prediction leagues. I've run it, so I don't have to commit to anything. I don't care. I'll put mine in on the difference in the thing. I've run the group, so to you and all. So yeah, not committed. I can go wild and crazy. So why not 5-0 Leicester?
Really well with some of your predictions in the prediction.
It might stay that way, to be honest with you. I'm not going to deny it might just stay that way.
You are wild and crazy. Before I give you mine, let me just come back to you, Aaron. And like you said, I mean, everybody's saying champions elect. Scott says there, until it's mathematically done, I'll still be happy with playoffs. I wrote a thing for the BBC. It was on a Tuesday under the fan's voice, just to say. Or did I mention that I do that now?
You make shameless plugs less shameless. You know that, Chris.
I do. Yeah, exactly. Do you look at Leicester and think, well, all right, if we get something great, but because of the fact that it's Leicester, it's a free hit. What if we don't get anything?
Well, the way I split it is the same way that I play Football Manager. I split it into three. So the top third don't care. Middle third got to be getting. If we can get draws against, happy. Bottom third, you got to be beating. So I see it no differently. But like I said, we've already played 9 of the top 10, and we play yourselves on Saturday, and we've not embarrassed ourselves at all. So, it's one of those where as long as we don't turn up. But again, I can take defeat. I just can't take a lack of effort, and we will definitely come on Saturday and give it our best shot. I think so. Well, I hope. But yeah,
the way I used to play Football Manager when I was in my youth was to save it before every game. So if I actually just lost one game, I could go back and play it again. Funny enough, I used to win most things on that. But look,
fair enough. No, I'm nice and honest.
Despite what Ronald said, it is John said here, John Thornton, because we agreed so much on our predictions last week on the prediction show. He's got no copying my prediction, John. Unfortunately, mate, I've got to, because that's what I'd gone for as well, a 2-0. But the other thing as well, Brad, and this is again something I wrote on a previous fan's voice on the BBC on Tuesday on the BBC website, was will the real Leicester stand up? And it's kind of getting into that mark again this season, isn't it, at the moment?
I think it did stand up against West Brom, and we just need that to continue. Now, I think we did have that bad patch, if you will, if you want to call it that. I suppose you do have to call it that when you're struggling for points. If we go off that bit of bracket, lost 2, won 1, drew 1, if you want to kind of close it off as a bad patch, if you will, we kind of needed to see a little bit of grit, a little bit of determination, a little bit of something different. Now, unfortunately, we didn't get the changes as dramatically as I was hoping. There's a mythical thing in Leicester. I need to ask Aaron if there is such a thing first. But I tried to ask something that apparently is not real, Aaron. And I demanded that Maresca made a plan B, and he played 2 strikers up front. Now, that never happened, but we have tweaked certain things that allowed us to kind of return. The return of Leicester seemed to rear its head against West Brom with how they went about it. So this for me is a game to get that back, Chris. This is it's good. It's all right to win a game, but it's then okay. What do you do? What do you add to that win? And like I said, again, you could flip it and say, well, the last time we got a win, we've got a draw, and now we've got another win. If we, it kind of turns it around. But this is where this is more about the result than the performance for me, Chris. It's a little bit of one of them for me, where I'll take us still winning, as long as it keeps that form going, and we do see that Leicester are still sort of back to how they were early on.
Now, the next thing that we come to, I just said there, 2 up front. You're joking. You're having a laugh. Who plays 2 up front these days? We don't. We play without a goalkeeper sometimes, but that's another show, another story. You two are probably too young. Well, I know that from sort of talking at the start of the show. But we come to the foot in both camps moment here, and there was a few that were reeled off that I had completely forgotten about. One of them that's already been mentioned that I was trying to forget about. But everybody says about the great escape from Leicester in the 14-15 season. We were bottom at Christmas. We'd been bottom longer than any other team that had a chance of surviving. And suddenly we won more games in the last 9 than we'd won in the previous 30-odd. And we managed to survive. There was another great escape at the start of the 1990s. 30-odd years ago, and we were in a position with relegation from the old second division on the cards. Assistant Gordon Lee had replaced the, I can't think of a word to describe him. Let's just say he used to like to drive slowly around the back streets of Leicester. David Pleat in the manager's hot seat in 1991. And there was one player who came up to the mark on the last game of the season. I think it was against Oxford. There we go. We needed to be better. West Bromwich Albion's result to preserve the status as a second division club. One person stood up and got a goal for us, which meant we did. I can say he's not exactly well known down in Plymouth because there's not even a picture of him in one of their shirts. So, but it is the hero that is Tony James. Do you not remember him, Brad? Can't hear you, Brad.
Thanks, that. I do. There is a little part of me that remembers him. There was also that famous song that was written by an artist who did the Heroes of Blue and White song. If you've ever heard it, you'll know what I'm on about. Obviously, it says in there Tony James 1-0, which I've always assumed was this game that you're talking about where he saved us from relegation. I could be wrong. He could be mentioned someone else, but that's kind of why I know a little bit. Yeah, know a little bit about it, about him as a Leicester player. But again, Chris, I said this and at the last one, you missed some very, very well-known links between the two clubs. I'll let you go on about Tony James first, but Christopher.
Yeah, I mean, there's some huge names that you've glossed over, but yeah.
Is that Tony James that you've just sent me, Aaron?
Yeah, it's a picture of Tony James. Yeah.
I haven't. It's on Twitter, so I won't be able to upload it very, very quickly. But look, just to prove, it was. Although, is that the same guy?
Yeah.
I think it is, isn't it? Or let me just. There we go. Tony James in the green and white. Yeah, for those of us of a certain age, and I am of a certain age, he was a hero that day.
Reading off our famous screens on the screen, which is a brilliant resource for all Argyle fans that basically documents every player to ever play for the club. It says that he moved to Home Park in August 1996, and he was forced to retire due to injury just after a single season in the centre of Argyle's defence. Made 34 league appearances and scored once, but played 5 times in the cup. So, not a player that. I mean, he played literally the year I was born. So, not a player that I remember fondly. And
I've got to go and get my pension tomorrow. Don't worry about it. Thanks, Aaron. Mate. But one that you did mention, I'll go through a couple here. And again, I can remember many, many years ago, I went round to a friend's house with my son, and she was a Leeds United fan. Her husband was a Man United fan, so you can imagine the conversations in that household. But we watched Leicester take on Leeds, and we stuffed them 4-0. We both ended up getting relegated at the end of the season, and we stuffed them 4-0. But a goal that was always, again, is going to be in the top, probably 10 goals, I'd say, from a Leicester perspective through the time. A certain man with hair, Lillian Nallis.
Yeah, an absolutely fantastic player. Again, one that I don't really have major memories of, apart from the fact I used to call him Cheese Man, which nobody will understand or care. No. I went to an open training session when I was a youngster, and he said "Cheers, man," but I thought he was talking about cheese. So again, literally not insightful for anyone. But yeah, you've missed off some big names. If this website's correct, you've missed off the likes of Barry Hales, Paul Gallagher. Rufus Brevitt, Guy Branston, Connor Clifford. I can't imagine he got many games for you. Martin Hodge, Jason Jarrett, Ollie Norburn, Peter Shilton. And obviously we've got Callum Wright with us at the moment as well. He was.
In fairness to and in defence, I could only put one player up there. So I did go for. I didn't find that site that you were talking about. I would have loved to have found
I'll
that.
send it over. It's very useful. We do a feature played for both 11, but it's very good at just giving you random names. But you do have to check them that they actually played for both. They weren't.
But
They weren't just.
I went for the well, to me, famous Tony James because of what he achieved. But a name that you mentioned at the start of the show, Brad, Barry Hales.
Yeah, Barry Hales signed. I have vivid memories of us when I think Plymouth were in the Championship and we were. Plymouth just were our bogey team for a little bit. Maybe it's just how I remember it, but I always remember they always scored past us, and it was always bloody. I always remember saying this kid, bloody Barry Hales. He'd always go, Plymouth, Barry Hales. He was a red hot striker for them. And obviously, when we signed him with Holloway, I was like, well, at least he can't score past us no more. I mean, unfortunately, he also forgot how to score for us. But interesting enough, there is one player that nearly had a foot in both camps that I am only, well, I won't say I'm only privy to, but I was working down at the Leicester City training ground when it happened, and this name will probably be up there with Barry Hales as a memorable striker for you, Aaron. Sylvan Ebans-Blake.
Yeah.
Signing. Wow, yeah. Sylvan Ebans-Blake, originally of Wolves, was at Plymouth as well. But before he chose to sign for Ipswich, he did a Mark McGee on us here. He thought Ipswich had better prospects of getting promoted than us. He would have won a championship. He would have won the championship with us. It was actually the season in the pre-season, Chris. It was in January of the season that we were going to get promoted to the from the championship to the Premiership. And Sylvan Ebans-Blake was getting shown around the training ground one night by none other than one of our favourite managers, Chris, Nigel Pearson. So we nearly had Sylvan Ebans-Blake to even talk about, but unfortunately he chose Ipswich over us. Apparently on his journey home, he made the decision that he thought he'd get more time to play for Ipswich than us. So that was one that I always liked as a player, and I'd love to have said he played for us a little bit, but I just want to throw that out there. But yeah, Barry Hales was the obvious one I thought you'd go for more for recent times than anything.
I feel like Barry Hales for us and against us for you. But Barry Hales is still playing football, by the way. He's at
Sunday League, isn't he? He's already Saturday League now.
No, it's still Saturday. It's FC Windsor down near Reading or in Windsor.
Fair play. I mean, if you enjoy it and you still can do, you play at any level just to play, don't you? You mentioned him earlier, and Chris Colverson brought him up again there. Ian Holloway, look, he took us down to League One for the first time ever in our history, the one and only time, the one season we've been down there. Despite that, I actually liked him. He wanted to come to us, which was always nice. The fact that he and then I think he ended up on gardening leave at Plymouth, but it wasn't successful. And I think, if I'm honest, that team would have gone down eventually anyway. I don't care who would have come in. It was like putting another captain on board the Titanic just after it's hit the iceberg and said, keep it up. It was never, ever going to happen. He provided laughs. I met him once. He was the manager when my second born was a mascot for Leicester against Burnley. And he spent a lot of time with him and really was really nice off the pitch, as a lot of managers are. You probably don't like him as much because of the way that he left, and he wanted to leave Plymouth to come to Leicester, didn't he?
Well, I think I've softened over the years, and I think your relegation then was similar to your relegation now, right? In the fact that it was a chance for you to reset and go again, and that's when I believe that's when you started getting the change of ownership as well, right? Was that when you became, because
I think we had the change of ownership, but it was still new, early days, right, wasn't it?
I was going to say, we played you at the Walker Stadium when you went down, and then we played you at the King Power when you came up. So I think it was around that time. So I think my feelings for Holloway have mellowed. I think I wasn't at that away game in which we beat you 1-0 and again helped send you down. in which there was just 90 minutes chance of fuck off Holloway. Putting it politely, I think that goes down. A lot of Argyle fans remember that game really well. Yeah, I mean, he wanted to leave, but that's not what he was telling us in the press, in the fact that he was telling us that he loved it down there and didn't want to leave, and he cut him open, he bleeds green blood and all of this, and he wanted to paint Smeaton's Tower green and all of this sort of stuff. So, yeah, a man who knew how to get the best out of his audience, I suppose, and he continued to do that in the years that he managed in the Premier League and for Blackpool and stuff. But like I said, I feel like I've mellowed a little bit. I've listened to a few podcasts that he's been on since, and he almost admits that he regrets leaving in the way that he did, at least. But I think it was more of an issue with the board, and that came to pass, a few years later when we started struggling and went into administration, and the rest is history. But I think there were a few things at the club that helped push him out. Like you said, I believe he was on gardening leave by the time he left, but literally the day before is him saying that, cut him open and he bleeds green. So it left a bit of a sour taste.
And I totally understand that. I want to ask you about this later in a minute, Brad, but I'm going to stick with Aaron first because he was a manager for you, but a player for us. Somebody we nearly got on the channel here, but couldn't afford him. Although, in fairness, the money he was asking was for a charity. So, because any money he gets from any shows he does goes to a betting charity. But Peter Shilton.
Yeah. Well, Peter Shilton did play for us. He was a player manager, I believe.
Oh, was it? Ah, right. Okay.
Yeah, did play a few games for us. Ended his. No, he didn't end his career with us because he became our manager and then went on to play for several other clubs afterwards. So,
your memories of him as a man, when he was in charge at Plymouth.
Again, I was born 1995, so not huge memories of him, to be honest. I know that he's not really spoken about in good or bad breath at Home Park. Sort of just there's no real love, no real hate. So it's one of those. I believe. I could have done some digging if you told me before. I could have reeled out.
No, that's okay. No. Well, I was going to stick with Tony James, but there we go. But no, don't worry. And Brad,
he left us in the 93-94 season when I believe he was sacked. So before I was born. So in terms of personal memories, none.
No, that's understandable. Brad, I mean, he forced. Well, he didn't force, but we lost an England World Cup winning goalkeeper in Gordon Banks to give Peter Shilton his chance. He stayed with us, went on to get better things with our local rivals, Nottingham Forest, but still remember him as a Leicester lad and one of our better goalkeepers.
Yeah, he'll definitely historically always be fondly remembered as a fantastic goalkeeper. Went on to become Leicester #1, England's #1. Replacing a big name. West Ham like to pick up saying they won the World Cup because of how many West Ham players there. Well, I actually start to retort now saying, our player made sure that we saved the World Cup because we had obviously Banks at that time. But Shilton is
Banks of England, as he was known.
Yeah, well, Banks of England. In fact, there's a picture and a plaque up on the third floor of the executive room outside the Banks' suite of him with the Banks of England, and he's got the picture of it. It's just lovely to see if you ever get a chance to be in that situation when you go to the King Power or even on a tour. So even if you manage to go to a tour, you'll probably get a chance to see it. It's lovely. It may have moved from that location since I last worked there, but it's still there. I know that much. Anyway, we're all about Shilton at Banks. I think there isn't a person out there. I mean, obviously, he was before my time.
Oops. He's gone. Is he coming back?
He's had enough.
Oh, he's back.
No. Yeah. My internet was spinning around. It didn't for all three of us like we have. Some issues with StreamYard sometimes. Anyway, my ear was obviously Kevin Paul and Casey Keller, but I think even even if you weren't born at that time, you can't support Leicester and not know the name Peter Shilton. And I think he'd easily go into a top 3 of Leicester's all-time goalkeepers, ahead of the likes of probably some of the goalkeepers I've grown up on, like Casey Keller and Kevin Paul, who were great keepers in their own right. So yeah, fantastic memories from what I know of for Shilton.
Absolute hero. Guys, thank you so very, very much. And thank you especially, Aaron. Now, I have put a link in the description below on the YouTube channel as to how people can follow you. But do give a shout out as to where they can do just that.
Yeah, good question. So basically, we're on all social medias. We've just started a TikTok. I don't know if your followers and listeners are down with the kids. I have absolutely no idea what's going on there, and I consider myself slightly younger. And I know what to do with tech, and I still don't have a clue how to get anything out of TikTok. We're on Twitter, Facebook, everywhere. Just if you just search Argyle Life or at Argyle Life 1886, you'll find us on most things. We do have a YouTube. We're trying to get back into that, and we're going to go live on there from when we're back in, but hopefully from not this weekend, but the weekend after. So yeah, back.
Can I just say you I may be older than you, but I do know TikTok, and we do have a TikTok channel here as well.
You might know it better than me, to be honest.
You youngsters, you think you know it all when it comes to tech. You don't. But no. Aaron, look, thanks so much for coming on, guys. Go and give Aaron's channels a follow. Like I say, his Twitter link is in the description, and there's a link from his Twitter to Linktree, which will give you a link to all his other platforms as well. I wish you excuse me, I wish you all the best, Aaron. I'd love you to stay up, but I think you will do actually now. But obviously I hope we stuff you on Saturday at 3 p.m. But thanks so much, mate. Take care and have an absolutely fantastic Christmas.
And you, cheers.
Take care.
See you later, mate.
Yeah.
Thanks to Aaron there. Lovely guy. And all the I like Plymouth. I do like these teams that, like I say, like Luton in the Premier League. I just want them to do well, because I still think of Leicester as like a little club.
Yeah. We've always, more times than not, that's very few moments, we're very humble as supporters. I think we've always tried to keep a level-headed opinion of our own team, even though obviously we do shred some bias out there. But yeah, look, as long as we do our job, as long as we gain promotion, whether it's via the playoffs, hopefully that doesn't become a thing, but if it does, via the playoffs or automatically, however it may be, then Plymouth can go and survive at my expense. Although I will say, a bit of salt left on them wounds and on the blades, wasn't there? Didn't have to mention the fact that he played a part in our league and our demise down to League One. But let's see how it is. I'll see how it is.
Sometimes the knife was slipped between the old shoulder blades.
Yeah, with some vinegar doused on it and salt by the feel of it. But no, great guest. Spoke some very, very good words about his club and great knowledge of his team, which is great to hear. And yeah, it was a good show. I've enjoyed it, Chris.
And this is what's happening next.
Coming up next on Leicester Till I Die TV.
Friday night, we're back at 7 p.m. for the prediction show, Brad.
Yes, we are. We've talked about great escapes, or maybe I'm on for one. Who knows? The last 2 weeks have been very profitable for me. So even so bad for Chris to see it, because now he can actually see me in his rearview mirror. A few weeks ago, I was in reverse, going down the wrong way street, and I was asking people for directions to the predictions league. Well, I'm making a surge in this second half of the season. Still a long way to go, though. Who knows?
I am going through a little bad patch at the moment. Let me say that. But we're on at 7 on Friday. We're going through the predictions for the weekend. It's a double header because there's a game midweek. but we will literally, for the second week, we will just, like we did last time, just run through them extremely quickly. Otherwise, we'll be here till the match kicks off on Saturday. And we're back on Saturday at 2:15, as it says above me there, for the Match Day Live. And hopefully, again, you'll be able to join me, Brad, for the before, the middles and the afters.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's better than a 12:30 kickoff. I didn't have time to wake up for the for our early start there, a monstrous early start that we had. So it's good to see a 3 o'clock kickoff, as you said. Hopefully, Plymouth's barren run of 3 p.m. kickoffs, Saturday kickoffs away from home continues, and we can add to the misery on that front. And yeah, let's just hope we're having a good we have a good run in it, and let's hope for 3 more points, hey Chris, because it'd be nice to wouldn't it be nice to go back to back wins and who knows, maybe Leeds and Southampton and Ipswich, etc., can all drop some points.
Indeed. Brad, thanks very much, mate. I will see you Friday at 7. I'll wear a white rose in my lapel so you recognise me. Take care, buddy, and I will see you then.
Yeah, take care, everybody. Cheers.
Thanks, Brad. Bye-bye. Oops, there we go. I'm small again. There we go. I'm big again. Big and small. And don't forget to check out LTID TV 2. I'm sure Brad will be coming back with some Women's Super League shows very, very soon. But like I say, Forest are losing. The night's getting better. I will see you along with Bradders at 7 o'clock on Friday, and then at 2:15 with Brad and Luke and Kate for the game against Plymouth live. Well, I'm not live. I will be live, but I won't be from the KP. But of course, that is where it's being played. Thanks very much to everybody that was joining. Thanks to Aaron for coming on. All the best for the rest of the season to Plymouth. Obviously, we just want them to lose this Saturday and in the reverse fixture as well. Thanks to Brad. Thanks to everybody that has been in the chat. Really, really, really do appreciate it. And if you've been listening on your favourite podcast platform, thank you very much for that as well. And just remember, I better just change things around before I play this one. If he can remember. Oh, wow. Where's everything going? Where's it all going? It's all going totally wrong. There we go. Get rid of everything. Then I can play this for you. Indeed, and we still are. Thank you very much. I will see you on Friday at 7 o'clock. This has been LTID TV from Leicester Till I Die. I've been Chris. A very good night to you.
Hi, this is Chris from Leicester Till I Die. Thank you for watching and listening. Have a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Don't do anything I wouldn't enjoy.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You'd better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.